My name is Rava Abundance.
My name is Adana Electra Drills, and we'll be discussing about bullying today as regards how it affects us, mostly in the negative way. As a matter of fact, the negative way is the only
way
to present itself, because bullying is a very, very good form of infringing or infusing negativity into people and bringing down their esteem and promoting that low self-esteem. So what do you think about it, Rava?
So the thing is, if I want to talk about bullying, I would talk about bullying for the rest of the day. That is because I have had a fair share of what bullying is. I've had like recurrent experiences of bullying and how it has affected me as a person, while I grew up. Bullying is a way of intimidating people, right? It is a tool of destruction. It's a tool of influencing the way people feel about themselves. It's a tool of influencing people's self-esteem, in fact.
Yeah.
We see this prevalence of, bullying in schools, in church, on social media. You see how people are very comfortable with, making you feel terrible simply because you maybe belong to a group of, sexual minorities.
Or marginalized.
Yes, or you're perceived to be vulnerable. This thing about people perceiving other people to be vulnerable. They always find a way to pick on you, to make you feel awful about yourself, make you feel awful about your identity, and make you question why you even have to be part of, such communities or such, diverse groups and all of that.
And
right?
You must believe with me that bullying comes from both the churches, schools, family, peer, even people who don't get to know you, then the media, of course. And the media is because it's the new trend. It's where you get to communicate more with people, and then you get to see people who do not know you before get to bully you. I don't know if you've had any experience of bullying of any sort from any of this group.
Of course. It is very much expected that these things are going to happen, especially when you are vocal about your identity on the virtual platform or on the social media platforms, right?
But you necessarily don't have to be vocal about your identity sometimes. When it is perceived, or rather when you're perceived as a marginalized person or someone different from every other person, when you do not conform, I guess that's the right word to use. When you do not conform.
I totally understand. Totally understand. But I would like to say that for people who are comfortable, who have gotten to a place of, full acceptance of their identity and choose to be vocal about their identity, it is very much okay and valid. In fact, it helps, other members of the community who look up to them and who try to find stuff or try to get better. It is very much valid, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I would like to talk about share my experiences on how bullying has, played out, most especially in church. I was born into a Christian home. In fact, my dad was a pastor, right? And as a child of a pastor, there are like a lot of expectations and all of that. And in the course of all of these expectations, it is expected that, I align my life, my character, my attitude, my lifestyle aligns completely with the Christian religion, right? So anything about, pastors' children always expected to be holy and all of that, that's exactly what I mean. And having to be a child that was, born into a family of 3. I have 2 sisters, and as of then, I was seen to be the male child, but of course, I'm trans, so that's by the ways. So you see, having to, live with experience of, battling with your identity, battling with having to, find self, and also struggling with the religion you were born into or the belief you were born into, which is the Christian religion, right? So, having to deal with preachings that were outrightly against the community that you belong to. This is me, a child who obviously knew nothing about, the core identity, but I knew I felt different. I knew I felt unaccepted. I felt strange. In fact, I was completely alienated at a tender age. And that is because I clearly couldn't understand why I felt the way I felt, and why the teachings in church, especially against the community, always had its way of affecting me as a young white child as at then, right? And all of these teachings, these preachings, these sessions kind of pushed me into believing that there was something wrong there was something different about me. There was something that needed to be corrected, which is why at some point, I started, there's this thing when you do altar call in church and the request for prayer points and all of that. I started, writing prayer requests and all of that, seeking to correct what I felt was wrong, seeking for healing and all of that, because I felt I just have to purge this thing out of me, if at all it's, something that is not welcomed in a society or in the church.
So, I mean, you've said a whole lot of things about what you went through, but I mean, how does it make you feel right now? Mostly knowing the fact that, of course, you're a very beautiful woman right now. So, how does your past make you feel?
So, I would like to firstly speak about how this affected me, back then, many years ago. I am still healing. I wouldn't say my healing, process is complete. Healing is actually very much progressive, and it's not expected to just happen at once, right? And this feeling of, being alienated right from, a tender age, this feeling of getting bullied by members of the church, by even my siblings at some points, because, and it's not like I have anything against them, and that is because I've arrived at a better place now. I understand that, sometimes these things happen, or our members of our family or our siblings do the things they do because they simply lack understanding of what these things are, right?
So you were saying something about you being young, and I would want to actually know, at what age did you really experience all these?
Well, I would say 15, 16.
15?
Exactly, yes.
Wow.
Exactly. And you can only imagine what a child of that age would have, must have experienced as a then. I mean, whose only crime was just being different from the rest of the children, whose only crime was just, expressing self in a very unique but different way. Of course, unique means different. So you can actually just imagine how I felt, what I went through, of all of the. There was a time. I only spoke about the times that I, wrote a lot of prayer requests and all of that in church, hoping that a change would come, right? I would also like to speak about the times where my mom was especially, began to take certain steps in an attempt to correct what she felt was wrong, right? There were like a couple of times that we went to prayer houses. In my dialect, they call it Ufokam. The Akwa Ibom dialect, yes. So we would go to prayer houses, and the reason for going to these prayer houses was just to, purge me of what she felt was demonic. And you know how these things are, especially from the biblical context of how well the community is demonized, especially when you are feminine presenting and all of that, you get. So there was this time in one of those churches where we went, and I was given this thing, olive oil, to drink, right? So now the essence of drinking this olive oil, according to the prophets then, was to purge me of all of this, all of these negativities and all of that, all of whatever was fueling my expression then as a feminine presenting, boy then and stuff. And this was me, in fact, hoping, okay, this is going to work. Since I'm drinking olive oil, olive oil is more like a spiritual tool, right? Based on what they tell us, it is a spiritual tool. So whatever you use, however you use it, it is going to work for you. So I was really hoping, okay, this is going to work. Let's try it. I would drink. Sometimes my mom would even force me. Sometimes I'll be like, in my head, this is really not working. This is not working. I still feel the way I feel. So with all of these experiences, right, it's had a lot of negative impact on me as a child and having to grow up like that and all. But I know we really do not have much time, so I would like to also hear your experiences as well, because I'm sure you must have had these experiences as well.
Well, my experiences, I have a couple of experiences, just that I have never shared my experiences publicly, but then I would love to do that today. Firstly, being perceived as queer, I was pushed into an all-male school just so I could be corrected. The femininity in me could be corrected, and they would make me the perfect son
That they needed,
that they
felt
needed,
they
that
had.
they felt they had. But sadly, it didn't work. From the all-boys school, it was also a missionary school where love was supposed to be practiced, but sadly, it was hatred that was practiced there. I went through correctional rape. I went through the prayer thing where the different forms of prayers, different pastors, different churches, they were extorting my family. I went through even the native doctors.
Wow.
Yes, it's actually funny right now, but sadly, I was at the verge of committing suicide then because I was made to feel worthless. And the funny part was that I didn't really see anything wrong with me. I saw myself as a perfect child. And sadly, I was a young child then. I was just 12 years old when all this happened. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. A very intelligent child, a promising child, the perfect image of what every parent
would want.
But the only problem that they had was the fact that
Your expression was
my expression
feminine, too
was
fragile.
just too fragile. It wasn't what they wanted from me. But it all happened. Even the native doctors, the many forms of conversion practices. But I wish all those things had worked out. Then I wished those things had worked out because it would have made me blend into the society. But at the same time,
you wouldn't have to feel the things you felt
gone
then,
through what
the
all I
experiences.
went through. But this also helped me in a positive way too. Yes.
Oh, really?
Because yes,
How?
I like seeing the positivity in everything that happens to me, no matter how bad it is. This helped me to try and run away from my family because when I was 16 years old, I got my admission into the higher institution, and immediately I ran away.
That usually comes with an escape plan.
Yes, that was the escape plan I had, and immediately I left the house. I never went back very close to the family unless on holidays when I don't have anywhere to go to. And I mean, I tried as much as possible, even the conversion practices that I had on myself. I thought all these things were going to work out, but unfortunately, here I am today.
Nothing worked. This is
Nothing
you,
worked.
trans and proud.
Trans and proud, of course. And
Of course.
I have, this has served also as, I've had all these experiences, and I serve as an inspiration to other trans persons out there, other queer persons out there, not just trans and queer persons, but every other marginalized person too. Because everyone gets to be bullied, everyone gets to face bullying, and this has served as a source of inspiration to me. I've tried as much as possible to build up myself to the level I am today, and I mean, I'm trying to see the positive part of the whole, everything I went through. What do you think about this?
So I would like to say that my experiences then has, informed who I am today. It has helped me become better. It has helped me become more intentional about, being who I am and being self-aware of my identity and why I feel the way I feel. And it has also informed how I am all accepting to even young people who are still struggling with who they are and how they feel and not understanding why they feel the way they feel. That is because I have been there. I know what it feels like. I understand what it feels like. And, I tend to give these people like that, young people like that, an open arm to lean on and feel safe in it, and also understand that they are not alone in the struggle, because we have had people who have been there, we have people who are still going through that, and I'm very certain that the same way I came out of it is the same way they will come out of it. But in this time, in this era, I strongly believe that with all of the resources we have now, the internet most especially, people should go up there, look up things, try to understand, ask questions. Do not be quiet. Do not remain in silence and feel that it is okay for you to seek for, any form of conversion practices, no matter how, regardless of how minute, small, or subtle it may seem. Conversion practices are wrong. No one
Yeah.
deserves to go through any of those experiences because, trust me, it never has any positive impact. You would have to go through the effects of it one way or the other. And by extension, it might affect your friends, your family, people who are close to you. So speak up.
And
Look out, ask
obviously, you
questions.
should be free to be who you are.
Yes, this
So
is
I
me
should be
free.
to be me.
Of course, I'm free to be me as well, honey.
Yes.
So you can. Trust me.
Yes, you can. Well, I really enjoyed the conversation for today. So I strongly believe that with all these, I should be free to be me. You should be free to be you. And we should be free to be us.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Bye. Thank you so much for your time.